That takes us into Forbidden Door. Do you want to quickly go through this show before we do feedback?
Sure.
Okay. We won't spend too much time on the card, but we're up to 11 matches. As mentioned, the 0 Hour will feature Chris Statlander and Momo Watanabe against Willow Nightingale and Tom Nakano. The Elite, the Young Bucks and Kazuchika Okada against Scissor Ace, the Acclaimed, and Hiroshi Tanahashi. I mean, in this one, I feel that of all these people, sadly, I feel Tanahashi is like your designated guy to take the fall in this match. I don't see them beating.
I wouldn't say so. You don't think they would pin one of the members of the Elite? Well, sorry. Well, let me think about this. Yeah, no, you're not. Bowens and Caster, because they already have the title shot, I think they could get pinned, but maybe it's more likely that Tanahashi takes the pin too. Sure, I could see that. Okada pins Tanahashi. I think that could be okay.
I think there's a probable outcome of that being how it is. The Learning Tree, which we have 2 members so far, and TBA against Samoa Joe, Hook, and Katsuyori Shibata. I see this being like a really quick win for Joe, Hook, and Shibata. That's my thought here.
Sure. And Suzuki, I guess, isn't making the trip. He's not going to be a part of any of this.
Well, he's got to make a trip at some point. He's got to do this FTW title match. They clearly have set up him going for this title. Maybe that's going to be at All In.
Yeah.
I'm going to exhaust that.
Yeah, it's all for All In. Yes.
Bryan Danielson against Shingo Takagi.
Amazing. Looking forward to this one.
They could have Shingo win this one. I think the more likely outcome is Danielson. I don't think people care too much about the outcome of this one. You're getting an amazing match regardless on the Wednesday, and you're getting an amazing match here. On a card like this, I'm always curious what opens the show. I don't think this one opens. It's probably a little later in the show, but
sure,
you could do a lot worse than just starting off with this for your 20 minutes.
I truly think, other than the wild card, like Bryan Danielson is the guy who is the most, I guess, has the most sort of potential to actually win the tournament, and therefore I think it's a lot more beneficial for him to move on versus Shingo Takagi. So
he should be in the final at the very least.
I think so. Yeah. So I pick Danielson.
MJF and Hechicero, puzzling.
Puzzling, but you know what? Like,
MJF is going to be incredibly popular on this show, and it's just going to be like an exhibition where he's having. And listen, to the actual match, I have no
I'm looking forward to
qualms about the match. I think MJF doing like lucha submissions with Hechicero could be something interesting that he sees as a challenge for himself. And I do think it's going to be a super hot crowd for MJF.
MJF is an incredibly underrated technical wrestler, and this presents a bit of a unique opportunity for him to almost specifically focus on that aspect of his game, working like a very unique style of technical wrestling too. So as a match, I'm looking forward to it, but I don't think they've done any work in trying to build, the sort of special attraction feeling, for a match like this.
You know what my big question is? Why is this event in Long Island?
Because they want to do a show in the New York market, and this is probably less expensive than Arthur Ashe.
Like, I almost think, and this will upset many AEW fans, like if you flipped and did this show in Chicago at the Wintrust Arena and Dynamite in Long Island, I think, to me, it's like if I'm booking Long Island, it's like I know who my big guy. It would be like booking Chicago and Punk is just in a throwaway match on the show. Like, let's maximize when we go to Long Island. So it's always a big deal with this guy, and I'm surprised that this is.
I can't tell you what the thinking is for Tony in booking a match like this, but I mean they also have Chicago probably saved for All Out, and what else did they have going on?
They're going there on Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm saying, what other pay-per-views do they usually do in Chicago?
All of them. I mean, they do. They'll probably.
They probably don't want to burn
have they announced All Out for Chicago this year?
I'm just assuming it'll be there.
That's their next big pay-per-view in Chicago. That's their.
They just don't want to burn out the market, and you know what? MJF. I think Hechicero should be cutting some promos on MJF. Really.
When?
It's up to him. Online.
Give him the whole second hour of Collision, okay? We're going to learn everything about Hechicero and why he's coming for this man's previously injured shoulder.
Would love that. Mm-hmm.
Okay. We've spent more time previewing this match than they did building it. Jon Moxley, Tetsuya Naito for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. I guess conventional wisdom is Naito gets the belt back and we go to our neutral political corners. Is there any value of a G1 without your IWGP champion and holding off Moxley for the fall, or is that just a silly option to make at this point?
I don't think it's silly. I think, AEW is hot, and having Moxley with the championship does continue that association. Now, is Moxley like hot enough that I could, like, is it going to piss off the New Japan audience long enough to only see sporadic appearances from the champion? I feel like the answer at this point might be yes. He's already beaten Naito. I don't see him losing I don't see Naito losing 2 matches to Moxley.
It's granted, it's the G1 tournament, but it's such a great tool to have when you have your IWGP champion in there, and
yes,
it means something to like what losses you book your champion in. I think the safe bet is Naito gets his title back, but probably they are going to do it in such a way that is, but we will see. Like, look how they booked themselves in a trios match tonight. How are they going to book this match on Sunday with John Moxley, who they are exceptionally protective of on an AEW broadcast?
Yeah, I think Moxley takes the pin, but I'm curious to see if he springboards, like in the finish, if there's any sort of next program waiting for Moxley coming out.
Oh, I thought you meant does a literal springboard.
That could happen too. Yeah.
Zack Sabre Jr. and Orange Cassidy. This will be excellent. I think. Zach is going to be very interesting to watch in the G1. Like, he is positioning this as though if I don't win a G1, my career is a failure. And this is a wide open G1 for other reasons. I'm not doing a two-way Ray here by previewing the G1 in this match, but I do feel that Zack Sabre Jr.
I think Will Ospreay is going to win this one.
Yeah, with the Zack Driver. I mean, this is one certainly you could have Cassidy win, but I do kind of like the idea. You do have to split some of these as well. I don't think this, and you do have Naito going over here. This also could be.
What was the result of the last time they did this? You remember?
Of Zach and Orange? Was this not the? I'll look at
the first one, right? It was in the first Forbidden Door. This is bad radio. It's
yeah. You got to have this stuff right.
Hey, Brian, help us. John Cena, you do the research for us. Whatever. Okay, whatever. Let's move on.
You don't have a pick for this one?
Oh, I pick whoever didn't win the first time.
Amazing. Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa for the AEW Women's Championship.
Toni Storm, yeah, I'm looking forward to this one a lot. I've been so impressed by Mina Shirakawa. I've been so impressed by Toni Storm and Mariah May in the storytelling of this match. I think it didn't start off very, very well, I think, with those sporadic appearances from Mina Shirakawa without much sort of follow-up nor explanation of who she is. But I think they've done such a great job, and I think the story will springboard into a feud between Mariah May and Toni Storm, maybe peaking for All In.
I think that's a really strong direction to go. That is one that should happen at All In.
Yes. Mercedes
Moné, Stephanie Vacour for winner take all, the AEW TBS title and New Japan Strong women's title. So I guess Stephanie Vacour, double champ?
I don't think so.
No?
This belt is going back to Moné. The person it was originally destined for. We're going to get some New Japan Strong appearances from Moné. Maybe CMLL appearances from Moné, I wonder. That's
possible. They could do that. And then we have the.
Sorry, I'm still trying to look up all this stuff, and we have Brian here finally chiming. He says, "I think their last match was that 4-way at last year's Forbidden Door, acknowledging the Zach promo, which Orange won. So I guess that's what they were counting. I thought it was a singles match. So I pick Zack Sabre Jr.
What if this turns into a 4-way by Sunday? That'll totally throw you off, won't it?
It could, yeah."
The ladder match. Man, there's a lot of matches on this card. We're at 11. Do we get more matches than 11? I guess the 0 hour has to fill itself out.
Of course you get more matches than 11.
Konosuke Takeshita.
They got 3 rosters to play with. They're not just giving us like, what? You think this is just an 11 match card?
I want an unmasked Ultimo Guerrero to remind people.
He needs to come for revenge. Yes,
that guy needs his AEW did him dirty on Saturday. Konosuke Takeshita, Mark Briscoe, Jack Perry, Dante Martin, Leo Rush, and we still got one more to qualify that I guess will go down on Collision. So, I mean, the story really does lend itself towards Jack Perry winning this. In fact, I can't fathom he doesn't win this. But I do feel the fan sentiment will be behind Mark Briscoe, who I think they should really tease right down to the end. And Jack Perry and Mark Briscoe should have like a TV match after this. I would like to see them set something up for Jack Perry. I think that would be a great kind of TV match for Perry to do a title defense. But I see Perry winning this. I wouldn't overlook this, but this could be really spectacular given the talent that's in here. And I think everyone's going to be watching like with just concern for Dante Martin.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think he'll be playing with that sort of tension, with him doing a big spot and everybody hoping that he's not going to hurt himself. But it seems like Dante and Leo Rush are probably going to break off into something themselves. Konosuke Takeshita is off to the G1, so he doesn't really need to have anything following this. But I think Perry and Briscoe having some interaction here that might lead to a bigger feud, I think would be a great way of getting there. And we'll find out about TBD.
And finally, Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay for the AEW World Championship. And probably the most interesting match, booking-wise, on the show of Where You Go. And, Wei, your thought on the best course of action to come out of this show and who is going to be going into Wembley?
I still think it's Swerve winning. That is the best course of action. He's at a position right now where I think he needs this win to solidify his championship run a lot more than Will Ospreay does in winning the championship. Will Ospreay is going to be in this company for several years. He has plenty of opportunities to head into Wembley Stadium with that championship to defend it. I think that there's a longer chase story to be told. And I think for somebody who is as good and as impressive as he already is right now, failing at his first try will only make that second attempt that much bigger. Hey, look at this year's WrestleMania, right? So I think you can tell a longer term story with Will Ospreay and at the same time solidify Swerve as the champion, the guy right now. So I pick Swerve.
I think that there's only one clear direction that I want to see coming out of this. It's Will Ospreay, who he hesitates. He doesn't go for the Tiger Driver. And he leaves this match knowing that he didn't unload everything in the chamber and it cost him. So to go back to Wembley Stadium, to his home country, and there's only one man that he can redeem this loss, and that's Hechicero at Wembley Stadium. And that is your co-main event.
Oh, poor Hechicero. Come on, catching all of this. Yeah. I would watch the shit out of that. Hechicero versus Ospreay. I think that sounds like
they'd have a phenomenal match. I will watch that on any episode of
Wembley
Collision
Stadium.
or Rampage, whichever one. I would love to see it. But there you go.
Long-term story at this point seems to be MJF versus Will Ospreay. Whether or not that takes place at Wembley, we shall see. Swerve's direction looks like it could be Hangman Page.
I think so. I think that's, to me, when I'm looking at this tournament, like the only clear story you would have is, Danielson going for the title in this retirement year, or it's Hangman as, the match that you always had to get to with Swerve. So,
yeah.